Welcome back to Aryaka Enlighten. My name is Nick Morpus, and I'm the Networking, Security, and Observability Product Marketing Manager here at Aryaka. And today I want to do something a little different. See, we've been talking a lot about what Aryaka is, what Unified SASE as a service is, and little details like our pricing and packaging. But for this episode, I want to shift gears into something that has been on my mind lately, and that is particularly the rise of shadow AI. So let's get into it. So to start off, generative AI, and just AI in general, has had a massive market explosion in recent years. Most notably, we know companies like ChatGPT, Perplexity, most recently DeepSeek and Grok AI, as well as Google Gemini, and other tools have exploded in popularity as companies and individuals have rushed to them in order to increase their productivity, find new answers to questions that they didn't even know that they had, and simply make life easier for everyone involved. And this has net a lot of great benefits for people and enterprises alike. However, as we adopt a lot of these tools, we're starting to find a lot of issues, some of which are actually older issues, just transposed onto AI, or even new issues that we didn't even realize were actually there. And that's really what I want to focus on today. Now, in focusing specifically on generative AI as a tool that companies have adopted, the issue of shadow AI has become all the more prevalent. Now, the term shadow AI is actually a derivative of an older term, shadow IT, which describes technologies that are unmanaged and technically unapproved by IT in a company. These tools can be very useful for specific teams to get specific functions done. However, how they function, what they have access to, and how they're being used is pretty much a black box for IT and security teams, and therefore live in the shadows. So as more and more of these AI tools live in the quote-unquote shadows, you expose your company to potential risks, ones that include sensitive data loss, which runs right into regulatory compliance violations, such as HIPAA and GDPR. You also potentially open yourself up to intellectual property theft, something that Samsung learned a couple years ago and subsequently banned the use of ChatGPT and other generative AI platforms as some of their intellectual property was exposed on the back end. You have reputational risks for customer data or anything else being leaked. Otherwise, why would you want to give your data to a company that is willingly exposing that information on the open internet by running it through OpenAI large language models? You also have ethical concerns, especially when dealing with AI tools that may be making decisions that I guess people would not be considering ethical, maybe around sensitive topics such as gender and race. And then finally, it all comes down to financial loss. If you're dealing in intellectual property theft, regulatory compliance violations, sensitive data loss, all this comes down to the money that you are losing, either through fines, through lost ideas, through reputational risks and loss of business. All of this opens you up to massive financial loss, and is something that really needs to be considered when dealing with something like shadow AI. So to further drill down on the financial impact of shadow AI, let's look at some additional numbers. So there was, according to IBM, an 11% estimated increase in the loss per record in 2023 for lost IP in theft. And that totaled to about $173 per record. And as I'm sure as you can imagine, that adds up over time. Additionally, breaches involving shadow data averaged about $5.27 million, with 26.5% of those breaches going undetected longer than usual. And then finally, looking at some of the heftiest fines, healthcare definitely beats out the rest of the market at $408 per record. And that's of course thanks to your HIPAA fines and other fines levied by governments over breached data, breached records. So with all those in mind, what are we to do about shadow AI? Well, you can always take the ban hammer route, and you can ban the use of AI tools altogether, just like Samsung did. Now, if there's anything Prohibition taught us, it's that if you prevent people from using AI tools, well, they're just going to make AI tools in their bathtub. Or, they're just not going to listen to you, and they're going to use them anyway without your knowledge. So banning is probably not the best route to go. However, you have to decide what is right for you. Next, we can look at implementing policies for approved uses of AI tools. And this is a great way to really get down on paper what it is an appropriate use of an AI tool is within your organization. Next in line, you're definitely going to want to educate your employees about what these policies are. You're going to want to tell them what is considered restricted data that cannot be fed through generative AI tools. And you're going to want to let them know what appropriate uses are of generative AI tools. By creating these sort of ropes for them to guide them, you give them and enable them to use the tools that better improve their productivity without giving them this feeling like you are hamstringing them away from the tools that other companies are using and preventing them from getting their work done in the most efficient way possible. Finally, we're going to get into the security measures that you should implement into your infrastructure to take all of these policies and education and enforce them correctly. Now, the first tool in this list is a Cloud Access Security Broker, or CASB. And what this does is this reads traffic going through different network access points, either in an inline or an API fashion, to read cloud-based traffic, application traffic, and determine where it's coming from and what it's being used for. Now, this works hand in hand with data loss prevention. Now, this reads contextually into the data that is being used in order to prevent unauthorized use of data, prevent data from being leaked to outside sources rather than staying where it belongs, and alerting security professionals to this actually happening. You will want different threat detection capabilities to detect when these threats are actually happening. And then finally, we're going to look at AI-based posture management and observability tools. Now, on the posture management side, these tools are going to essentially read the use of your network and the data that you have and assess the posture that the data sits in order to create some sort of risk assessment and give you different tips and tricks on how to better, orient your network and your data in a more secure fashion. And then finally, you're going to want some sort of AI-based observability, because the use of AI has not only sped up the efficiencies of business, it also has sped up the ability to, violate company policies and extract data at different points of your network. So you're going to want some sort of AI-based observability tool that can keep up with the pace of today's AI tools that are being used by your employees. So this is where Unified SASE, particularly Aryaka's Unified SASE as a service, is here to help with shadow AI. So the good news is we already have a CASB. We have data loss prevention in the works. We definitely have newly released AI observability, all managed through our My Aryaka portal. We also offer centralized and streamlined detection and control. Now, this is part and parcel of the entire Unified SASE as a service experience. We provide the network and the security that you need in order to secure all of your data and detect and see the shadow AI that your employees are actually using. And the best news about it is that it is effective across HQs, branch offices, and with remote users, all with that centralized and streamlined detection and control. So the bottom line is this: we can't leave AI on the table, and we simply can't ban it outright. So in order to best realize the gains and the productivity boom that comes with AI, we're going to have to implement new security policies, embrace new mindsets, and understand the risks involved with using AI and measure those accordingly with the benefits it's providing to our businesses. And the best way, in our opinion, is to do it through Aryaka's Unified SASE as a service. To learn more about Unified SASE as a service, visit aryaka.com, check out some of our resources on our networking and security solutions, and learn about how Aryaka is embracing AI to better serve our customers on the networking and security frontier.